Forget past mistakes. Forget failures. Forget everything except what you're going to do now, and do it. William C. Durant. We've taken you to the moon and across the Atlantic. Taken chances, taken our losses, and taken the lesson. We've taken flags, cups, and awards. We've taken rust and helped make it shine once more. We've taken you from sea to shining sea and taken you just around the corner. Yes, over the course of nearly 100 years, our parts and service divisions have taken many things to the next level without ever taking our customers and their needs for granted. It began in 1916. Hundreds were racing to meet demand, producing new innovations and repair parts for the machines sweeping the nation. The once criticized automobile was here to stay. Enter William Durant and his United Motors Corporation. Under Durant, the corporation acquired dozens of smaller parts manufacturers and vertically integrated them into United Motors Service. 2 years later, in 1918, General Motors came courting, eventually buying out United Motors Corporation and retaining the name and function of United Motors Service, adding to their existing roster of parts producers, including what would later be named AC Sparkplug. With the production of parts humming along, it was time to add a new dimension to the business. In 1935, dealer parts distribution chains that once operated independently by brand were brought together as one under the name GM Parts Division, forming one of the world's most robust distribution networks. But parts and distribution were only part of the equation. From the very beginning, Durant and his colleagues understood that their parts were useless in untrained hands. This foresight led to the establishment of General Motors training centers. At these centers, mechanics from across the country learned the skills to maintain the surging number of GM vehicles rolling off the assembly line. With trained experts at the ready, Americans were free to enjoy an expanding system of roadways, including the famed Route 66. America's post-Depression optimism was not to last long. On September 1st, 1939, Germany's invasion of Poland lit the fuse on what would become mankind's costliest war, and United Motors Service was on the front lines, helping the war effort both here at home and abroad. As troops returned home, America once again fell in love with the open road. Encouraged by President Eisenhower's insistence on an interstate highway system and Dinah Shore's warm invitation to see the USA, United Motors Service and GM Parts Division followed, further expanding its parts, service, and distribution network. But the open road was not enough to contain the imaginations of the engineers who had revolutionized the automobile. So, it was off to the moon. AC Sparkplug and Delco Electronics teams worked tirelessly to help develop early NASA Apollo mission rockets as well as key components of the lunar rover. As the space race heated up, racing back on Earth was already in full swing. Instead of simply storing excess high-performance parts for GM racing vehicles, they were numbered and released to the public under the GM Performance Parts name, known today as Chevrolet Performance. In 1971, the Delco name, which had become widely known amongst the American driving public, replaced United Motors Service with the formation of ACDelco. 4 years later, the AC Sparkplug Division and ACDelco would combine to form ACDelco. Building upon an established racing reputation, GM widened its presence in the automotive sports arena. Under the Goodwrench banner, the service division for all GM in-dealership service, Dale Earnhardt and his number 3 would bring home 4 of his 7 championships. As Earnhardt amazed fans at speeds greater than 200 miles per hour, the U.S. economy was rapidly approaching a massive slowdown. In response, GM began a systematic condensing of divisional services, including parts warehousing and process consolidations. In 1981, for the first time in its history, all aspects of parts manufacturing, service, and parts distribution were consolidated into a newly formed GM Warehousing and Distribution Division. This consolidation of fragmented, inefficient divisions and subsidiaries would signal an upswing of the organization's far from leading reputation within industry rankings. In 1986, global instability lessened as President Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev reached key agreements leading to the de-escalation of the Cold War, opening the door to an even wider global marketplace. Soon after, a newly named GM Service Parts Operations emerged, bringing even greater efficiencies to the organization. In 1996, leaders broke ground on a new headquarters in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Now, key players were together under one roof to focus on the organization's overriding goal of broadening and strengthening its presence in untapped markets around the world. This parts-forward focus and dramatic changes in vehicle technologies led service engineers to take on a greater role in the initial vehicle design process. Doing so began a trend of having the right parts and training ready long before new vehicles hit the showroom floor. In 2010, General Motors service and parts operations transitioned to customer care and aftersales, with an emphasis on the word care, shifting from a part focus and placing more emphasis on the customer. Our customer care and after-sales focus on people can be further seen in our employees, each one dedicated and empowered to make a difference, taking things to never-before-imagined places, both in their work and in their communities. The groundwork laid in the mid-'80s, today's customer focus, understanding and utilizing ever-evolving technologies, and continuous improvement have led a remarkable march, positioning customer care and after-sales as a world leader in the eyes of the automotive parts supply and service industry, and more importantly, in the eyes of our customers. Taking time, taking risks, and not taking no for an answer. It has taken a lot to establish and serve the world's largest customer base, and it will take even more to remain the ones who supply and teach the world. With our near 100-year history, our people, and our desire, our only limitation is where our imaginations can take us.